so today in class we talked about independent and dependent statements. And today in your homework you have a list of different events, and you have to figure out which variable in the event is independent and which variable is dependent, and write a dependency statement for each of the events. Keep in mind that today in class we talked about the fact that a parent would be considered an independent variable. Their child would be considered a dependent variable. A child depends on or needs the parent in order to exist. So in each of these scenarios, you have to decide which one's dependent so that you can write the dependency statement. Okay? The dependent variable depends on the independent variable. So look at number 1. Meg earns a $5 flat fee plus $4.50 per student for a tutoring session. Well, the two variables that we have here are the amount of money that Meg is going to take home and the number of hours that she's going to tutor. So if you look at the amount of money and the number of hours, the amount of money she earns will depend on how many hours she works. She cannot get the money unless she works the hours. So the hours would be independent and the money would be dependent. Therefore, the statement would say the amount of money Meg earns depends on the number of hours she works. Number 2, Carson charges $7 per hour for yard work. Again, we're talking about an amount of money that Carson gets per hour of yard work. So, Carson's the amount of money Carson makes depends on the number of hours he works. Notice that the $7 has nothing to do with the problem. It's just telling us that he's earning money every hour. So money and hours are two variables. Number 3, every time you clap 3 times, a fairy gets its wings. So the two variables are the number of times that you're clapping and a fairy getting its wings. So we have to ask ourselves, does the fairy getting the wings depend on the claps, or do the claps depend on the fairy getting its wings? Well, a fairy gets its wings if you clap. So you have to clap first. So the number of times you clap has to be the independent variable. That has to occur first. So a fairy gets its wings, and I'm going to go ahead and put getting wings. A fairy getting wings depends on, because we're writing dependency statements, number of times you clap. If you clap, then the fairy gets its wings. In class, we talked about how if would be your independent and then would be your dependent. So a fairy getting wings depends on the number of times you clap. Look at number 4. A CD sells a lot of the music if the music is good. So a CD is going to sell, but only if the music is good. So again, this goes to if then. If the music's good, that has to be the independent, then the CD is going to sell. CD depends, the CD selling depends on if the music is good. So CD sales depend on good music. Number 5, the wider the diameter of the muffler, the louder the car. So if we put this into an if-then statement to make it easier, we can say if the diameter of the muffler is wide, then the car is loud. So we have to have the wide muffler first before we have the sound. So the I guess, volume of the car depends on the width of the diameter of the muffler. Okay, so volume of the car would be the dependent variable, and the width of the muffler would be independent. Number 6, my bad grade got me grounded. So, if I have a bad grade, then I'm getting grounded. So the bad grade is independent. Okay, getting grounded depends on your bad grade. So, getting grounded would be your dependent variable. So, I'm going to go ahead and say getting grounded depends on my bad grade.